Alrighty, we've got the Chaos Dwarves DLC coming out, but you have heard a lot, you guys, about the Chaos Dwarves, but what else is in this patch? What other things, maybe not specifically around the Chaos Dwarves, do you have to look forward to? There is a ton. There is actually a crapload. I didn't watch a lot of content going into the Chaos Dwarves. I got some early access and I did some digging around myself, and I see a lot of really good things, so let's get into it. Starting with green skins, we got a good number of changes. Some of the lords, we have Grimgor Ironhide. His best of the best is fixed. It now activates when an enemy lord or hero is nearby. It used to deactivate when an enemy lord or hero was nearby, so that was clearly just a bug. Grimgor Ironhide also got a shiny new coat of paint for his Blood Forged Armor ability. Now looks pretty cool. One of the many VFX updates that are coming back with the Chaos Dwarves. Everyone's favorite Forgotten Lord, Azhag, the Slaughterer, now has his items at last. But does he have them on his mount? He does! So he gets Saga Slashers and Azhag's Ard Armor. At the start of the game, he didn't have either for some reason, and then there was an update that gave him to him on foot, but on his Skull Muncher, he got neither. Now he gets both, and he kept the Spider Banner, so they gave him a little extra treat to make up for what they had done to him. So, welcome back, Azhag. Good to have you. You still probably suck, but, I mean, whatever. Snotling Pump Wagons also have 12 models now. Better than I believe. They just had 4. And when I checked them out, they actually do decent damage, which leads us into our next topic. A big piece of news for a lot of people is Chariots are back. Chariots are back in action. We'll see here some Clan Rats getting absolutely mulched by Slaanesh Chariots. Big change coming in for them. Hellflayers and the Secret Chariots performing by far the best. They can instantly rout Clan Rats on the charge. Now, they do still struggle with high mass units or charge defense units that are braced, but, I mean, Chariots are meant to struggle with that kind of thing. With infantry support, they are really good at clearing out infantry and box-type builds. And, added bonus, they actually take a lot of damage when in combat with cavalry and monstrous units like they should. So that's overall pretty good. Unfortunately, Scourge-Horn Chariots and War Wagons still don't take very much damage at all when running away from stuff, but we can't expect everything all at once. To add to chariot fixes, Lion Chariots of Krace actually do decent damage on the charge, and a bug has been fixed where their riders would not swing. Now their riders appropriately swing. I don't know if that'll make this unit any good, but they do swing. Further on the meta point, Chariots are stronger now. You might worry about there being too much infantry clearing. Not to fear, 2 very potent tools against infantry have taken some nerfs. The green globes of the SKaven, the dreaded horde killers, are not feeling the best right now. There's a long time between reloads for them, takes them quite a bit to throw, and their damage isn't what it used to be. They might be a little bit on the weak side. I will obviously have to do a bunch of PvP games and really get a sense for them, but it takes them a long time to deal significant damage. And 3 globes and quarter HP on those zombies, that'd be previously like 2 throws. So, still damage, but another explosive that got hit with a bit of a nerf is the dreaded Miners of Blasting Charges of the Dwarves. A ubiquitous frontline tool for them online. They are now, still decent, but about half HP off this cheap zombie pirate deckhand mob is much better than straight outright killing it, and I imagine other Rush factions will be a little happy about that. Now, it's still strong, right? It's still strong, but it's not instant delete an entire unit strong. Another example of globes, just onto Empire Swordsman, basic Empire Swordsman, in case you thought maybe the undead zombies had too much HP or were too spread out to really show you the difference in the damage. You can see even these tightly clustered Imperial troops, even 2 of them overlapping and taking a double volley, they just don't really take the same amount of damage. It's still a good amount, I'm not trying to pretend it isn't. But even this 375 gold unit can just get onto the Poison Wind Globes without anybody between them, which previously that unit would have been running for the hills, no problem at all. So, significantly less damage on the globes. We will see how it affects the SKaven meta. If you're worried about our ratty friends suffering from low damage without their globes, I can assure you that will not be the case. Their damage has just been moved around a little bit, but other, more forgotten elements of the SKaven army all of a sudden are performing a lot better. Warp Fire Throwers, for instance, are proving significantly more powerful than they were on the previous patch. That is very exciting, but there are a couple other weapons teams and a couple other units on the roster that are also getting buffs that I would encourage you to go try. So things with SKaven might get a bit more experimental, which could be very exciting. Now, if you thought you were free from the menace of blasting charges, we do have the ROR Chaos Dwarf Warriors and then the two Infernal Iron Sworn. You know, they remind you a bit of the Dwarven blasting charges of old, so, you know, watch out for that. And if you really like destroying hordes of infantry before they even hit your front line, I guess that's not gone from the game either. Other multiplayer defining things would go that Slaanesh Hellstriders got a significant nerf. They are fighting Glade Riders right now and having a tough go of it. For 700 gold and bonus versus large, that being Slaanesh's specialty and all that stuff, they're not performing as well as you might hope. So Hellstriders took a significant nerf. Also, some of the Slaanesh lower tier infantry, the Marauders, took pretty bad hits. Slaanesh will overall fall down the tier list. I don't know how they'll do in domination, but I know in land battles they'll actually probably be an underpowered faction. I don't know if the Chariot buffs will be enough to drag them back in, so it might be a tough patch for poor Slaanesh. Speaking of other meta factions, Vampire Counts got kind of hit in the chops. Got hit pretty bad. Invocation of Nehek got Winds of Magic cost increase. Undead Crumbling got a damage increase, meaning it does more damage to them the lower they get on leadership. Graveguard lost their magic damage that they acquired coming into Game 3, as did their Black Knight friends. So less magic damage means physical resist will be better against the undead hordes. Crumbling is harder, and it's harder for them to heal. It might be a tough time for VC. They might be over-nerfed. We will see. Could be in a good place, who knows, but they will definitely not be the S+ tier that they were before the patch. Cathay and Kislev get added to familiar faces. Gotrek and Felix join those rosters, so very good stuff for them. And speaking of our friends Kislev, we do have Feral Ice Bears and Feral Bears added to the extended roster. Now, you could probably only play that with your friends, but that means they're probably in the campaign, which I have not taken a look at. Otherwise, I don't know why they'd get on this roster at all. Also, a bug was fixed. By Our Blood is now added to the Oath Brothers of Tor, the ROR Oath... ROR Warbear Riders now have the normal Kislevite passive. So yay, they're working as intended. Sad times are upon us, though, as the Vampire Coast lost their undead knight summons from the extended roster. It was a funny bug where you could spawn these ethereal armor-piercing knights, but they would disappear about 60 to 90 seconds into the game because they were technically counted as a summon that you brought on your army. Well, I personally would prefer that they had just not been a summon, but had been here. I guess taking them out entirely is also fine. Everyone's favorite solar-powered vehicle also got a buff. The Luminarch of Hysh and the Templehof Luminarch got significant fire rate increases and accuracy buffs. They really don't miss nearly as much now, and they can really chunk down stuff. I think they maybe do slightly less damage, but their increase in accuracy and reliability of firing is super worth it. So I expect to see a lot more of these guys on the battlefield, even in competitive play. Everyone's favorite frog-based unit also got a new coat of paint. Armor-piercing anti-infantry, really helping them out. They can now clear out low-tier infantry units. They are only 650 gold, so if they plow into Zargard, like over here, and armored Kossars, they might not do as well, but they can take out archers relatively quickly. Now, Nargo's whole thing is being slow, but at least they're doing some damage, which they previously did not. Also, I think there was some improvement to infantry knockdown. I think infantry can take a little bit of damage while getting knocked down. This is noticed in Rotflies and Plague Toads, but also in my testing, even against like Sigvald or something, Scarbrand was having a much easier time hitting him, so I'm not for sure. I don't have patch notes or anything. All this is just me testing stuff, and I just got access to the early content right now, so not all the testing is complete, but infantry models do appear to be much more fragile, and Plague Toads for sure doing more damage than they used to. Another benefactor of some buffs is the Rotflies of Nurgle. Previously an absolute trash tier unit, they are now just okay. But going from trash to okay is nice, and having any sort of flying dogs for Nurgle is going to be important for chasing down all the ranged units that plague him. So they can win duels in the air relatively cleanly, and they do decent damage to units on the ground. Now, it's not incredible, but it is acceptable. They went from being a garbage unit to being fine. Like, Khalida is going hog wild on this one, but the other one's completely fine. Another benefactor of the little touches that CA added to this patch that aren't the big sexy announcement of the Chaos Dwarfs is Grease's Goldtooth got some significant playability buffs, I guess I'll call them, is he's just way better at swinging now. I don't think this will make him a great lord, but it makes him infinitely less frustrating. He just swings a ton. He used to have problems if something was directly in front of his chariot, he would bump into them. It's like he couldn't hit them unless they were at an angle. Here you can see him swinging consistently at the General of the Empire, or turning if he needs to. He's really beating the brakes off these Empire Knights. It's just good to see Croesus really, like, his model is working correctly, and it just feels good to play with. You can see someone in front of him, he charges him, and hits him to the ground, which previously, like I said, he would sometimes just T-pose or have issues swinging at units that are right in front of him. Now it's just regular Footlord stuff, but he even gets a kick out there, so really good playability improvements to Croesus Goldtooth. Tons of good hits on the front of his chariot model. Just feels great. Just feels great. It's good news! Now we're touching on the Chaos Dwarves a little bit. We have cool new breath attacks from some of their mounts. They look really good with the fire, and this led me to thinking, do all breath attacks look slightly better, or is it just the cool new Chaos Dwarf mounts? And I have to say, after testing multiple dragons, I do think overall the breath attacks are looking a little prettier, looking a little nicer. So that's cool. That's clean. I tested it on Terrorgeist, the Zombie Dragon, Star Dragon, and the Fire Dragon. I mean, it's the same. It's just like I feel like the flames got a little better with this update. Here's a good look at the Sun Dragon's breath attack. And again, I just feel like that fire looks a lot better than it used to. I don't know. It seems gorgeous to me, but maybe I'm just seeing things. Another interesting thing is the survival battles. Now, on release, they weren't the best. I'll admit that. They were kind of tragic. But it does appear that every single race got an endless mode added. And I played around a little bit. I haven't had a ton of time, but I played a little bit with Endless Dark Elves on Black Ark Landing. And the AI seemed significantly smarter than previously. They actually tried to take capture points from me. They actually did some good flanking maneuvers and stuff. So I think this could be a fun mode with your friends. Maybe, possibly, potentially. We'll have to do more investigating, but there's a lot more maps now in the survival mode. I think it has been improved. So hopefully that works out well for everybody. I don't know. I mean, it says endless, so I would assume endless, but there has to be an end, right? Right? There can't be infinite Dark Elves. Still, I'm always down for more game modes, more maps. Seems fun, seems nice. One final thing to note here is, I will always bring it up just as a bit of fun. This is not new, but you can cast Evolve on the ground like you just saw right there. He did use it. It did go on cooldown. He's now waiting to cast it again. So Devolve can still be targeted on the ground. You can give the sand itself -8 leadership, -24 melee attack, -speed, -charge speed, all that stuff. It doesn't affect an area. It's just like literally you click on the ground and you waste the Winds of Magic. I will keep bringing this up until it is fixed. Also, for some reason, it says causes damage to combatants at the very bottom there. I did not think that was true at 4 Winds of Magic, so I thought I would test it. I am going to cast it on some swordsmen here in just a second. Come on, swordsman. Come on. There we go. They are devolved. Their health is 6,210, and devolve's still going. They have taken 0 damage, 0 damage, 0 damage. All right, so Devolve is still broken. It is still a lie, but everything else I've shown you today is very exciting. Lots of good changes, and that's not even all the changes coming out with the next patch. I'm sure there are more. I'm sure I have to keep diving to find them, but I hope you all are all as excited as I am from just what I saw there. I see a lot of really good changes, both for quick battles, for campaign, for playing with your friends, and for the multiplayer content we usually do on this channel. So if you want to see multiplayer, usually land battle focused content, do subscribe. Goodbye! Roar! Subscribe, yes, yes.